Do you want to know everything about Plunderstorm, the new World of Warcraft game mode? From the basics to the fastest way to farm renown and plunder for your mount and cosmetic, this is the guide you've been waiting for. Most players in World of Warcraft right now are on the Plunderstorm hype train because retail is in the Season 4 waiting room. I'm one of the people that is just kind of killing time till Season 4 starts. I figured, hey, even if I may not play Plunderstorm all the time, it looks like a good time to kill some time until Season 4, and honestly, the game mode has been surprisingly fun. It's only been out for a day in EU, and we spent last night playing it on stream, learning with chat, whilst grabbing a couple of wins left and right, and actually having a blast. Plunderstorm is World of Warcraft's new Battle Royale mode, introduced to us with the secret pirate patch. This mode is a 60-player Battle Royale game where you can compete in 5 to 20-minute battles in a modified Arathi Highlands, depending on how long you last. We won't waste any time going into the doors I think that this may open up in the future. This may be something we go over in a future video, however, I do think the concept is very interesting, and I look forward to seeing what else Blizzard decides to bring to us down the line. Plunderstorm takes place on a separate server, so not on the retail servers with your own character. You'll be playing a new character on a separate server. However, the rewards from Renown will transfer over to your retail and classic accounts. So how do you get onto the Plunderstorm server? Before you even decide to drop in, here's what you need to know. You launch Plunderstorm from your character menu. So after starting up World of Warcraft, you're on your character select screen. In the top left, you'll see a Plunderstorm logo. Click that to gain access to the Plunderstorm servers. Once you're there, create a character to your liking. Factions don't exist in Plunderstorm because we're all pirates. Just go with what is aesthetically pleasing to you. Plunderstorm in its current form has solo queue and duo queue. I would highly recommend you play duo queue, especially if you have a friend. You can both be on Discord and chill together while just farming out some games in Renown. Not only are you going to have a bit more fun, at least that was my personal experience. Not only that, you will be gaining your plunder faster. All the plunder is shared. That loot is shared. So theoretically, you'll be gaining it at twice the speed that you normally would as a solo. Now that you have your character set up, queue into a duo, hit play, and after you've loaded into your first game, you'll spawn in a base with all the other players, and a countdown will be going once the game is filled up. This means you're about to drop in. Once the timer hits 0, you and your duo, if you have one, will be put on a griffin somewhere randomly on the map, and you'll be dropping straight into the action. Now remember, not every drop spot is a good spot. Dropping in a hotspot where 14 out of the 60 other players are going significantly lowers your chances of survival and even lowers your chances of getting plunder and decent loot. Here are the spots I would recommend you drop in on. First, there is a Hammerfall in the top right. Now, people generally do not recommend Hammerfall. I am going to contest that today. You land on the little elemental island on the left of Hammerfall. So in the top right, you have Hammerfall. Just left of it, little island, 4 elite elementals on it. Drop on that island. Kill the 4 elementals. They are 4 elites. That means you get 4 abilities and you get a decent chunk of XP. Usually when we go into Hammerfall, we're level 3, I believe. Which means you are generally going to have a level on the people that are in there. If it is busy there, these people have been fighting each other and not the mob, so they've not been leveling. Another favorite of mine is Argarok. This is in the top left, and you start out just north outside of the base. Once again, we're not dropping into the base. Inside the base is generally very, very busy. I drop just outside of a base. I grab an ability, grab some XP, and then we run in. We wipe the players out. We clean up the rest of the base. We come out level 5 or 6 with all our abilities stacked. I have 2 more recommendations for you. The other one is Witherbark Village. This is in the bottom right. There is no real outside of a base there. It is relatively quiet there. Usually, normally, we run into maybe 1 or 2 other teams. And you can choose to fight the other teams. You can choose to walk away from them. That choice is all yours depending on the situation. And the last and not least is the Newstead Farm on the west side of the map. There's a lot of mobs there. There's a lot of farming you can do. It's easy levels. What you want to focus on in this game is leveling. This is what's been working for me, starting somewhere outside of crowded areas, gaining a few levels and abilities, and then pushing into said areas. The people inside have generally been more busy fighting each other, which means they haven't had the time to level, giving you a clear advantage early on. You're playing with an advantage in the first 2 to 3 minutes of the game. Now that we've covered dropping in and landing and leveling a little bit, what you want is abilities, but the question is, what abilities should you be picking up? The abilities drop from elites and occasionally from normal mobs. If you kill another player that has abilities, they also drop them on death. As you may have noticed, your ability bar is somewhat split up. You have 5 spell slots, and they're distributed in a certain way. The first 2 spells are offensive abilities. Slots 3 and 4 are meant for utility abilities. These are generally the abilities that help you run away or survive a big hit, so mobility and defense. The last slot is for items, such as the barrel that you spawn in with. Items have a 1 use, and after that, you'll have to see if you can find another one. But in the case of the barrel, it's a fantastic way to get away from a fight when the outcome is looking really bad. Even though I think almost every ability in this game is a viable one, right here are some of my favorite ones and the ones I think you should be keeping an eye out for. So first off, we'll go over the offensive abilities. So spell slots 1 and 2. I'm going to give you 4 spells that I think are probably some of the best in the game, depending a little bit on your playstyle. So first off, Fire Whirl. Right now, Fire Whirl is kind of being looked at by Blizzard. They've said it's on the radar. We might change it. Fire Whirl, by far, best ability in the game. Okay, speculation. Only because I think nobody's counterplaying it right. The counterplays for this are in the game, and I'm going to tell you what they are in a minute. Fire Whirl, first, best ability. The other abilities I like, personally, are Mana Sphere, Searing Axe, and Rhyme Arrow. Mana Sphere shoots a giant orb. The longer you hold the button, the bigger it charges. It shoots an orb at the enemy. It does a decent chunk of damage, and it's very good poke damage. Searing Axe, a melee ability that goes out of you in a cone. So if you can connect to the other player and hit that, you will slam 30% off of their HP generally. And then the last one is Rhyme Arrow, which I really like for poke damage. Not really an amazing ability. I think it's a fun combo together with the Mana Sphere. Anything that does poke damage. Personally, I like running Mana Sphere and Rhyme Arrow or another poke ability. The upside to Rhyme Arrow over Storm Archon is Rhyme Arrow will let me keep running, whereas Storm Archon kind of slows me down a little bit. I have to stop and cast. Now, on to utility abilities. We have, I'm going to give you 4. Fey Form is the first one. Fey Form gives you mobility. Mobility is fantastic in this game, either to close a gap or to make a gap bigger when you're getting away. Fey Form also has the added bonus of having you take reduced damage while you're in it, and I feel like a lot of players don't know this. Fey Form, giga counter to Fire Whirl. If someone is on top of you and they Fire Whirl, just Fey Form. You won't take nearly as much damage. Second, Fade to Shadow. Fade to Shadow is basically a vanish. You blink in the direction you're going, you go invisible, you stay invisible for a little bit. It's very good to try and run away. The third one is Repel. Repel is also very interesting. You a rune appears under you, a rune looking kind of thing. And if that goes off and the player is in it, they'll get knocked back, but you will also interrupt their casting. So if, again, Fire Whirl is coming at you, you can just repel, and it will interrupt that cast entirely, having that use go to waste. And the last one that we're going to go over is Quaking Leap. Quaking Leap is, again, mobility, but it does have a little thing to it. You can press the ability again, or just let it run out. You'll land on the ground somewhere, and whoever is in the area you land in gets a tiny little stun. It will interrupt some casts. It will just stop them from running. It is a very good combo with Searing Axe. So my personal favorite setup would be Fire Whirl, Searing Axe, Fey Form, and then Repel or Quaking Leap. So now that we've successfully dropped in and acquired some items to fight, you might be wondering what's the best course of action. Answering this question really depends on your goals. We'll go over that a little bit later, but personally, I enjoy trying to grab a win in the game where I can and go as far as possible. However, I know some of you aren't enjoying the game as much and are just making sure you get the mounts, transmogs, and pets. So there are 3 paths that you can go down, although we've almost done too much as we started collecting all the gear and killing things. But first off, we'll go over path 1. Path 1 I like to refer to as the in and out. The in and out is literally what you think it is. You load into the game, you drop in, get maybe a handful of kills, do the quest, that shows up on the right side of the screen, and you get out again. You just land. If there's a quest on the right, you do that and out again, and you just repeat. It is a very mind-numbing farm. Path 2 is the in and out +5. Yes, I know, we're very original with our naming. It's very simple though. This means you're doing exactly what you did in the first strategy, but after completing that, spend another 5 minutes collecting as much plunder as you possibly can. You get the plunder from just killing things, looting things, killing mobs, killing players, etc. So just spend another 5 minutes staying in the game, trying to get as much plunder as you can. Now we're on to path 3, my personal favorite. It might not always be the most efficient way to farm the renown. However, I find it the most fun way to play the game, and that is much more important to me. You drop in, you grab skills, get elite kills as fast as possible. You just play the game. The start, kind of the same as the other 2. And then I go around, I loot plunder, I kill other players. And especially with the plunder changes that Blizzard dropped last night, where drop rates have gone up as much as 50%, I find it to be very worth. I played 1 game last night. I ended up taking a win with a random duo partner. We gained 2600 plunder, which is basically a renown level from just winning a game in duos. Now, with all that covered, I do want to give you guys some tips that most people don't seem to be aware of. Here are the tips I found helpful to help me gain an advantage in fighting other players and just making the game as easy as possible. The first tip is one of the bigger ones. I don't see everybody do this, although people are slowly figuring it out. When you drop in with your Griffin, you land on the elite mob. Don't just land randomly in the middle of nowhere. Land on an elite. All right, pause for a second. After doing more testing, you do not have to land on an elite. The first normal mob you hit with when you land will also give you an ability, even though I do believe the elite will give you more XP. The mob you land on will get one-shotted, giving you free XP and a free ability to start the game off with a little bit of an advantage. Tip number 2. Later in the game, try to avoid fair fights. I know. Listen, when fighting a straight 1v1 or 2v2, you're very likely to be third-partied by another team. What about you try and be the third party? Instead, enter the fight with an advantage rather than being there fighting a fair fight, 1v1, 2v2, and a random team rocks up behind you. You get sandwiched between both teams. Now what? Exactly. Be the third team. Give yourself that advantage. Number 3, don't overcommit to fights. This is what I see a lot of people kind of do. There are loads of mobility abilities in the game. If you feel you're not in a position to win, or the enemy team or the guy chasing you is straight up just higher level than you, even if he's only 2 levels higher, that is a lot in this game. There is no shame in just kiting him into another team or just running away. What I personally like doing when I'm running from someone is I try to find another team, and I try to set these 2 teams on a collision course, and I dip away. So you'll have one team on the left, one team on the right, me running into the team on the left, but suddenly I'll take a sharp right. They'll end up fighting each other and hitting each other, and I get to go away and either res my teammate, or both of us get to go away, go to a new place, and try to focus on farming XP. It is so important that you focus on farming your XP. The PvP isn't always it. Spending too much time running away from someone is also not it. You need to level up. Your abilities will do more damage. You'll have more HP. Try to always stay in combat and fighting, preferably PvE mobs. On the topic of not overcommitting and running away, make sure your build always has at least one mobility spell. Personally, that's why I think Fae Form is one of the best abilities in the game. Again, not only do you take reduced damage in Fae Form, the mobility on it is also very good. Use it, please. Unlike other Battle Royale games, where if you see a white item and you pick up the same white item again, you now have 2, or it swaps the 2 around and you still have that same white item. In the Blizzard version, if you pick up the same item again, it will level the one you have. So if you have a rank 1 Fire Whirl, you pick up another rank 1 Fire Whirl, you'll now have a rank 2 Fire Whirl. Which brings me to my next point, and that's why is it important to level these abilities? I mean, obviously, tip number 6, some spells will gain additional damage if you level them up. But more importantly, the reason to level them up is it reduces their cooldown. Each level up you get on them reduces the cooldown on them, so you have more uptime on them, meaning you have more mobility, more defensive capability, and more damage. I hope all of this has helped. If you have any further questions, if you think there's anything I forgot, please do drop a comment down below. I'll be keeping an eye on the comments. I'll answer where I can. And thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time watching my video. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed this content. And hopefully, I'll see you guys again in the next one. Take care. Enjoy the plundering. Have a good time being a pirate, guys.